What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens video. Today, guys, we are going to be discussing the Team Battle Royale, the tournament arc that is currently going to be held in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens anime, and I'm very excited to get into this video, as basically what this video is going to be is I'm going to be going over some of the possible teams that I was able to come up with that could potentially be in this tournament in the bracket form when we get to that point. I'll kind of talk about the bracket when we get to that. Talk about the teams, talk about how I want to set up the bracket, and just kind of like how this whole tournament is going to work, because this is the second time that a team tournament has ever happened. The first time it ever happened was in the WRGP and Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. You know, you had Team 5Ds in that show, so now it's Sevens time to show their team tournament. So that is basically what this is going to be. So I'm very excited to get into this. I hope you guys are excited as well. Definitely let me know all your guys' team ideas, like what teams you expect to see in this tournament. And well, you know what, we'll wait until we actually get into the discussion. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, so let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it. So obviously we're going to start off what teams we're going to probably see in this tournament. I got a couple of teams right here, so let's get into them. So the first team, pretty obvious team that we already know. In fact, we already know they already registered into the tournament, and that is a team composed of Luke, Roman, and Gakuto. Literally, they entered the tournament in episode 42. We got their team name and everything, so we already know they're entered for the tournament. This team is already confirmed. We already know that this team is going to be in the tournament, so this team we're really not going to really talk about much. And that's going to be what these teams, I'm just going to briefly go over the teams, and then we'll just kind of get into the actual meat of this. So expect these to be a little bit quicker. So that is the first team that I ended up coming up with, which was kind of pretty obvious. The next team that we have is the team of Yuga, Gallant, and Schwer. This was another team that was kind of confirmed in the last episode, episode 42, after Rook basically told Yuga that you should join Gallant and Schwer's team because Asana, their group leader, could not enter the tournament, and obviously they couldn't enter their pigeon into the tournament, so they needed another team member. Yuga ended up, after dueling Otis, ends up accepting to go into the group, and they ended up becoming a team for the tournament. We don't see them register into the tournament like we did with Luke, Roman, and Gakuto, but I mean, they were going into the registration anyway, so we kind of already know that this team is confirmed. This is another pretty easy team. This is basically what the last episode was all about, getting Yuga participate in the tournament. So yeah, that is another pretty easy team that is pretty much already confirmed to be in the tournament. The next team on this list is going to be Roa, Geta, and Yoshio. Now, the reason for this team, I mean, it's kind of obvious. I mean, Roa has to enter this tournament. There's no way that this kid is not entering the tournament. This is one of the kids that wants to become the king of duels, and this is his best opportunity to do it. Plus, we do know that he's getting support in new Royal Demon cards, so there is no way that they're not going to show this off in a tournament with Roa being involved in this. As for his team members, it's the other members of Roa Roman, because since Roman is going to be a part of Luke's team, there needs to be other members for Roa's team, and obviously he can do his other two band members. It just makes the most sense. Not really much to have to go over with this character, but this character, again, he has to enter the tournament. There is no way that this kid is not entering this tournament. So that is another team down for the tournament. The next team on the list, we got the team of Menzaburo, Sushiko, and Yagi. This team was shown to be at the actual stadium, kind of getting known to the scenery in episode 42. So I kind of feel like this is another case where I feel like it just makes sense for these characters to really be in the tournament. And obviously I picked Sushiko and Yagi to be in the team because obviously they're a part of Mitsuburu's group. It makes a perfect 3 team. And that's where you're going to see when it comes to the rest of these characters, is just teams that it could be made of with 3 members in the group. If there's a 3-member group, they're probably going to be in the tournament. It's an easy pick to put them in the tournament. And just to see what Metsuboro's role has been in the series, I would be very shocked if he didn't enter the tournament. And even we saw Sushiko got some screen time. Yagi's the only one that really has not done much other than the fact that he could cook a big old hunk of meat. So yeah, I definitely do think this is another team just based off how they were in episode 43, excuse me. I think I've been saying 42, so my apologies. 43. They appeared in episode 43, and just to see how much Metsuboro has done, and even having a little bit of Sushiko in there, this is just another easy team that can be in the tournament. The next team on the list is the team made up of Bakuro, Masara, and Nico. I hopefully pronounced that middle guy's name correctly. This is another case where it's just, hey, if there's 3 people in a partnership, it's going to be part of the tournament. Now, the only character that we really saw have any screen time in terms of dueling wise was Bakuro. He dueled Rook in episode, I believe it was 5. So, yeah, even though he's the only known one to have any dueling experience, he did appear in episode 43 as well, so I think it's a high chance that this team is going to also compete in the tournament. The only members that we don't know that duel is the other 2 members, Masura and Nico, which I bet they are duelists. I would be very surprised if they weren't, unless they're just going to sit there and just basically make headlines of the tournament. I really do think that they're going to be in the tournament. So that is another team that I think is going to be entering this tournament. Up next, we got Kan, Kazuki, and Hanto, the Dinosaur group. This is another case where, again, it was a 3-member group. They appeared in episode 43. There's really not much to talk about, though. I want to kind of say this is a little bit funny. In episode 43, when we actually saw these characters, Hanto was walking in front of the other 2. Is he going to be the leader? That's the most fascinating thing about it, is that when we got introduced to these characters, it seemed like Kan was the leader of the group. But 43, the fact that Hanto was walking in front of these characters, could he be the leader of this group? No, I don't think he is. I think I'm just looking a little bit too much into it. But yeah, this is just another easy team that they can put in the tournament with 3 members of their group. And I think they can have a cool team name with Team Jurassic, you know, kind of following with his whole thing of saying Jurassic after every sentence, which I know I didn't say any other team names for that. I'm going to leave that to you guys, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I suck at team names. I'm going to be completely honest when it comes to that. I'm not going to lie in saying that I'm good at picking names. So definitely that's one of the biggest things in the comment section below, is what team names do you think they're going to have for these different teams? Or at least do it for the teams that I have. If you have other teams that I don't say in this, say the team, like who's going to be the members of the team, and then tell me their team name. I would be really appreciated. Up next, we got some newcomers here, and I already know I'm going to pronounce their names wrong, so I apologize. So we got Braun, Leo, and Kamomi. I believe that's how you say that last one's name. These are the newer characters that we got introduced to. These are the space suit guys that we saw in episode 42 when they ended up dueling Rook. And they mentioned that they were going to enter the tournament. I mean, the whole point of episode 42 was them looking in that underground mine to find maximum cards for this tournament. And we do end up seeing them in episode 43 as well, as along with the other ones. So I feel like it definitely makes sense for these characters to actually enter the tournament. This is another case where only the main leader has dueled, and also that was the same with the Khan group. Khan is the only one that's actually dueled in that group. But you know what? As long as one of the members actually duels, I think the other team members are actually going to be duelists. So I think we kind of have those covered. The next team that we have is the team of Yugioh, Masahiko, and Toshihiko. I believe that's how you say those names. I think they sound like they're Gallant twins or something like that, with their names being very similar. Who really knows? But this is, again, just like the other ones, is another case where it's 3 members combined together. Although I thought there was 4 members, but Oh wait, there is 4 members, but one of the members is a dog. So, well, to be fair, Yuga's team kind of has the pigeon, so they kind of have 4 team members with the pigeon kind of cheering them on. So, yeah, it's another one of those cases where it's the leader that's only dueled. It's a 3 party team. It just makes the most sense. This is actually a team that I would be excited for, surprisingly, because Yugioh, when he dueled in episode 20, he became a very relatable character, and I really hope that he kind of has that relatable moments throughout this tournament of like maybe still trying to find his path, and maybe his path is becoming the king of duels or something like that. I think that could be really cool, and to try to relate to this character a little bit more. So I'm kind of excited to see him participate in the tournament. Now we are starting to have some interesting ones. The first one I want to go over is the team composed of Neil, Ronz, and Sebastian. Now, I want to kind of talk about this team because this team is a little weird. And the reason for that is one of the members of this team can't actually duel. And that member would probably be the leader of the group is Neil. If we go back to episode 26, remember, he ended up losing his count after losing to Yuga in a duel. He could no longer duel because his account got terminated. So, there is 2 options when it comes to Neil's team. The first thing that can happen is they can find a way to get his account back, though, to be honest, I don't know if they're going to do that because I felt like it would be kind of a cop-out. I know that might just be a little bit harsh, but it's kind of convenient that now he can get his account back when there's this big tournament when he couldn't get it back in the last arc. Like, unless the main villain is able to do it, I mean, well, I guess it will still be kind of a cop-out, but, like, they basically get him back in the tournament by that regards. Or the other option is that if we look back in episode 41, the way Ronz acted towards Neil makes me believe that there is a good chance that Ronz might help Neil actually participate in the tournament. Whether that be they give her the ID card, which actually if she gave her ID card to Neil to duel, I don't think that would be necessarily a cop-out because it's Ronz's account for Neil so that Neil can actually duel. It's if Neil gets back his original account. But the other option you can have is get one of the old members of Neil's group, and I think the only ones remaining at this point is Arya and Schrodinger, which, to be honest, I'm pretty sure 98% of the people watching these videos probably does not want to see them return in a duel again, so probably not be like a fan favorite option, but like the only other character that I can think of is Ronz, but I don't, or not Ronz, excuse me, Rinnosuke, but I don't think Rinnosuke is going to betray Gakuto. I really don't see that unless kind of Ronz kind of forces his hand, which would be kind of playing a little bit dirty there. I don't know. This team is a little bit weird. I'm very interested to see if they would do something with this team, because this might be a case what they might do with Asana, and they might be doing something outside of the tournament. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with this group. I put them down as a potential option to actually be in the tournament, but we would have to wait and see if Neil got his account back or not. I mean, I think all of us would like to see the account. I mean, I'm a big Neil fan. I would love to see him duel again, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. This one might be a crazy team, but I actually think this team is so crazy that I actually would like to see it. And that team is composed of President Drone and Mimi, which I would combine them as one character just because of the fact of how they've kind of been working together. Sorako and Chikako, which are the other 2 alien creatures in this series. And obviously you could have replace President Drone and Mimi to put in Sweets Kakako. The reason I'm not putting Kakako in a team with these 2 is just because of the fact that she's the announcer. It doesn't make any sense of her participating in the tournament and also being the announcer. It just makes no sense, but as for the other 2 characters, they haven't really done anything, so I feel like this is a good chance to kind of bring them back into the story. Maybe this is just me kind of wanting these characters to be a little bit more relevant. These characters have just kind of felt like just one-shots and they were done. Like, they had their dueling episode and that was going to be it. So this might be just the, the heart version of me, I guess. I don't know, I know that sounded a little bit weird, but or I should say a gut feeling, excuse me, of just wanting to see these characters again. And then obviously it would get President Drone and Mimi to actually do some stuff. And we do know Mimi actually has some new cards that she can use in her deck. So we can see that throughout the tournament. But this was just a random team that I kind of thought of. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are in this tournament. I think the only thing that's kind of a negative with this team is I don't know if President Drone is really going to want to participate in this tournament, because I feel like he would be more of the character to just like stand on the outside of this and kind of watch the tournament. So we would have to really wait and see with this. But this was just another potential team that I thought about. I do apologize, there was one other team before we go into the next team, and that's Django and his two other group members. Honestly, I tried my hardest to find the name of those other two people. The people I'm referencing, by the way, is the people that were trying to stop Django from drawing multiple cards during that duel against Rook, is basically other members of the student council for Goa 6. He appeared in episode 43, Django's duel, before. He's just like the other ones. And yeah, he's basically the same as the other ones. I did just forget to put him in there, so let's actually get back to the main one. I didn't want to forget about our big old drawing opening song guy, I guess. I don't know, that sounded a little bit weird, but hey, you know what? It's completely fine. And the last team that I'm going to be going over is, and I'll just say the team name for this tournament, Team Double Six. In episode 43, at the very end of the episode, we see this new group kind of getting into the mix of the story called Team, they weren't called Team, they were just called Double Six. Most of the time when it comes to tournaments in Yu-Gi-Oh!, there has always been a villain participating in the tournament. The only exceptions for this was the Fortune Cup in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, the first tournament arc, and then the last tournament arc at the end of Arc 5, as that tournament didn't have any villains because Zarg was defeated at the end. So knowing that knowledge and that most of the tournaments have villains, I mean, think about it, like Battle City, you had Merrick, you had the Society of Light from GX, you had Tron from Zexel, excuse me, and then even the WRGP, you got Team New World, which was the team for like Jacob, Placito, and what's his name, like Lucan, something like that. I can't remember the last one. That one has always been a problem for me to remember, but there's always been some type of villain in this tournament. That's kind of where the President Drone team kind of came up, was because I was trying to find a team for the villains. But if there's going to be a villain team in this tournament, I think it makes the most sense to have Team Double Six instead of the team that I had before. Again, that was just me having more of a relation of wanting to get the the two other Sirocco characters into the mix. So that's kind of where my reason was that for. But this one just makes the most sense. Honestly, if I had to choose between the two, I think this one would be the logical choice. And then obviously, you know, my personal thoughts on the other ones, but we're not talking about that one. I would probably go with the more logical one, and this is the team that makes the most sense. And that's going to be it for the team possibilities for this bracket. I know there's other teams that I can add in this. I can have a team with Tiger in it. I can add a team with the Fish guy in it. I know I can have probably some other characters you could probably think of. But I didn't want to do it too big because we are actually going to shorten how much I have. I have 11 teams right now that we went over, and I'm going to be shortening it down to 8. And I'll explain a little bit why I'm going down to 8. But let's talk about what teams I'm going to eliminate. Let me talk about the first, what teams I don't think are going to be eliminated. We're going to go over the 3 that I think are going to be not eliminated, and then the 3 team members that I think will be eliminated from the tournament. So the obvious 3 that will not be taken out of this bracket, out of this tournament, is Yuga's team, Luke's team, and Ro's team. There is no way that these groups are not going to be participating in this tournament. There is just no way. These teams are going to automatically be in this bracket in the, what is this, quarterfinals? It's like in the top 8, basically. So that's a guaranteed 3 teams that are going to be in the top 8 for this tournament. As for the 3 teams that are going to go, as much as I hate it and I want to see Sorako and Chicago actually duel again, I don't think that team is going to participate in the tournament. I just don't think Goha is going to really participate in the tournament. Again, I said where he's just going to be more of a person that's just going to watch from the sidelines. And again, I said that Sweets Kakako is not going to participate in this tournament because she's the announcer, and since they wouldn't have any other party members unless you add characters like the fish guy, Tiger, or something like, I don't know, Arya and Schrodinger, which, again, no one really wants to see. So they are automatically eliminated. Another team I don't think is going to make it is Django's team, honestly, just because I don't really like Django as a character that much. I mean, he has not really been that interesting to me. Again, this is just my personal opinion. In fact, we don't even know his other team members' names, so I feel like that's another easy one to kind of knock out the list. As for the final team that I would knock off, this one was a really weird one, but I'm giving 2 possible options. The first team, and a lot of people might be surprised on this one, is Neil's team. And the other option would be Bakuro's team. The reason why I decided, well, let me go on the Bakuro one first because that's a little bit of the smaller one. The reason why I did that character is because I feel like he's had the least amount of involvement, or at least his whole team has had the least amount of involvement. Sure, the Space Crew ended up doing it, but I wanted to kind of give a change, and I want to kind of give them a little bit of a chance, so I decided to keep them in the top 8 spot. I know you can make the fair argument for those characters, but I wanted them to give them a chance, so the next best option was Bakuro. As for Neil's team, that goes in the whole situation if Neil is going to be able to participate in the tournament or not. Because if he is not going to be able to actually duel in this tournament, they need to find another team member. And if they don't decide to bring back Arya or Schrodinger, or is unable to get Renosuke to join their team, they don't have enough team members to actually be able to enter the tournament. And that is something I do worry. I know a lot of people want to see Neil back in action once again. I think some people want to see Ron's duel again. Maybe some people want to see Sebastian actually duel again. But the thing is with those characters as well is that I think they can still do stuff without having to duel. I really think out of all of the teams that we've put on this list, they have the biggest potential to still be a part of the story, but not have to be a participant in the tournament. Sure, Yuga, Roa, and Lou's team can, but I feel like with their goals, it makes more sense for them to just stick in the tournament side of things. But Neil's team can fit outside of the tournament. So out of those 2 options, if Neil can't duel, I would say Neil's team's eliminated. But if Neil's able to if he gets his account back and he's able to duel, I would probably take Bakuro out of the standings for this. And that would be probably my top 8. Though, I would add Bakuro if they decide not to have Team Double 6. And I'll kind of explain that after we kind of explain how this tournament is going to kind of work. So, how about we actually get into that? Because this section is going to be very interesting. So, how is this tournament going to really work necessarily? Well, there's 3 ways that this tournament can play out and how the structure is. The first way they can do this is the same way they did in the 5Ds with the WRGP, where how it goes is that you have 2 starting players that actually participate in the duel. They end up dueling as normal, and when one of your teammates' life points reaches 0, they switch out for another team member, they end up getting into the duel, and they just continue from there, and basically you do that until you can get all of the team members' life points down to 0. That is a very high possibility, since that has been a presence that's been seen in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes before. The second option they could do is in a tournament kind of style, to where you have one team, or like you have the team members do as usual, but when the team member loses, that ends that duel, and then the next duel commences. And this is where you kind of go into a best out of like 2 scenario, where if you win 2 of the duels, you automatically advance to the next round. That is another way that I can see this happening. And the final way we can do this is what OCG Structures ended up doing. And if you did not read the OCD structured manga, I'll kind of explain the way they did their tournament. So basically, this was the way they did their tournament into the finals, in which case the finals did the second option. As what they ended up doing is all of your team members duel at the exact same time. They have borders between the two so that they kind of like don't have to look at what your other teammates are doing. That way you're just focused on the duel that you're participating in right now. And you all duel at the same time, and basically after all of you guys have finished your duels, they tally up how many members of your team ended up winning a duel, and whoever's team had the most amount of wins would go on to the next round. It's kind of similar to the other two, but everyone participates at the same time. This is where you can get in a scenario where it's like a 3-0 sweep, just because of the fact that every one of your members had won a duel. So that is a very good possibility they can do as well, and that's actually a pretty recent thing, so it's not like we haven't seen that before. So that's another option that they can actually do for this tournament. Now, this is where things get interesting, because now we have a little bit of dilemma. Now that we know the possibilities of what this tournament could do, what route would they take? Now, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to take this from the perspective that these remaining episodes, assuming this goes another 13 episode arc, like all of the other arcs has been, we have 8 episodes to do something. We have 8 episodes to make this entire tournament. So, what is the best option? In my opinion, the best option that you can do in 8 episodes to have everything or everyone to be able to show off their dueling capabilities, all the possible duels in this practice to be shown all the way up to the finals, is the third option. It is the only way it can work, because you can do it similar to what episode 24 did. You know, you had Roman, Gakuto, and Rook dueling against Otis in separate duels, and you can do it in that style where you only focus on one of the duelists, and that's basically all you see throughout the tournament. Now, I know a lot of people would want to see all the other members of the team duel as well, but in 8 episodes, it's not possible, guys. There is just no way that they can feasibly do an entire tournament in 8 episodes. It's just not possible, unless you just make it very, very rush. And pun was not intended, by the way. I feel like every time I just say rushed, like a duel was rushed or something like that, I always feel like I'm just going to make that joke every single time. I need to stop doing that. But getting back on topic, this is just the best way I feel like they can actually do all of this. Another way they can do this, though, and I know people are not going to like this, but maybe you don't have the tournament arc conclude. I know people don't want to hear that, but hear me out for a second. Let's say that we do it all the way up to the finals, but the finals doesn't end up taking place, because at the final episode, after the final duel happens and we see what the final matchup is going to be, the tournament ends up getting canceled because Double Six ends up getting involved, and that's how we end off this arc. The next arc, we go into the whole Double Six scenario, and after our heroes, Yuga and the crew, are able to defeat Double Six, the last couple episodes could be the finals of that tournament, because I think if there's going to be a finals in a tournament, it's going to be Yuga's team versus Rook's team. I feel like that makes the most sense. So if that ends up being the case, I want them to have as much time as possible for their duel. I want it to be probably one of the best duels that we have seen in the show so far. I want them to have enough episodes where you can have a fantastic duel. And I feel like doing it in this scenario would be the best way to have a very phenomenal ending to the tournament. Sure, you have to end it short and then go through a villain, but it makes the most sense. The only other way you're going to do this is you could try to like postpone the actual tournament into the next arc, and that's when the actual tournament starts. But why would they call this arc the Team Battle Royale arc, which, mind you, is the name of this tournament? They clearly want this tournament to be in this arc. This is not like the pre-Team Battle Royale arc. That's not what this arc is. It is the Team Battle Royale arc. So obviously they want this tournament to last in these remaining 8 episodes. But that doesn't mean the tournament has to conclude in this. They can wait until the next arc to do the finals after they deal with Double Six, and then they can do that. I feel like that's just going to be the best way they do it. It's that, or in the 8 episodes, you have to do the entire tournament. That means every duel has to be in 1 episode. Every team has to do in 1 episode to make all of this work. I just don't see that working very well in the end. I really don't want that to be the case. So, to make this the best tournament that we could possibly have, I want them to postpone this tournament when you get to the finals. That way you have enough time and enough episodes after you deal with Double Six to have a phenomenal finale to this tournament arc. That is just the best way that I can come up with, in my opinion. And that's really going to be it for this video, guys. There's not really much I want to talk about this. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this whole proposal that I made at the end of the video. I know a lot of people might not like the tournament getting canceled at this, but I honestly think this is the best option to have a great tournament arc without the tournament being rushed. And let me know what you guys thought of the teams that it ended up coming up with. Is there some teams that you guys could have come up with? Again, think of team names for the teams that I have. Again, I couldn't think of any other teams other than the confirmed team for Team Luke Kings and then Team Jurassic. That's the only team names that I can think of. That's not just something bland like Team Ramen, Team Newspaper, or something like that. I feel like that's just kind of boring names. So I want to think from the creative community that I have from you guys. I want you guys to get creative with these names and think of your own team names for the teams that I have for this video, and just like team names for the teams that you would have in the tournament, and be creative with this. The only ones I would not like take away from the teams is Roa's team. Well, actually, honestly, I think all the team members make sense. To be honest, I was going to say you can just do whatever team you really want to, but I think the teams that I built make logical sense. But if there is some other teams that you can come up, please let me know, and let me know the team that you have for it. And you can make those creative. Like if you wanted a team of Tiger, the fish guy, and maybe Schrodinger or something like that, I don't know, and you can make them like team I don't know. I cannot think of team names, and also that's just would be a weird team name. Team Animals, I don't know. See, this is where it shows like I'm very bad at just making up team names. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.